Hello, fellow Rotarians and guests, and happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Pleasanton. This meeting is being recorded and will be available for viewing on our YouTube channel. I want to welcome our visitors. We hope you enjoyed today's meeting and come back again. If any visitors want to learn about becoming a member, please see Ricky Walters. Where's Ricky? Right here. And I would like to thank, please be seated. Oh, we have to say the pledge. Wait, I always do that. Sorry. Heidi Murphy will lead us in the pledge.
All right, let's walk through this four-way test together. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And thank you to Sherry/Vanna White over there.
Thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Sherry. Also, thank you to Anshu for being our green. Oh, please be seated. Now. Our attendance taker, Roger Emmett. Thanks to Andrea Wilson for being the treasurer, and of course to Ricky for running technology today, and Kathy for all she does, and Heidi Murphy and Jim Golsep for planning our programs. I would like to at this time ask Julie to do our We Care.
Thank you, President Jim. I'm looking for any shares, concerns, good news. Yes, Brad. You don't have to.
Two things. First of all,
Sure, Kathy gets. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Randy Brown to come to the podium and do the inspiration.
thanks, President Jim. All right, since it's Valentine's Day, for many, Valentine's Day is a day to express your appreciation and your gratitude for those that you love, whether it's your partner, your friends, or your family. While you can certainly buy gifts, you might also want to pen a love letter to those loved ones this Valentine's Day. If you're not quite sure how to express all those warm and fuzzy feelings, don't panic. I have some inspirational quotes here that you could use. You can't blame gravity for falling in love. Albert Einstein. Love is a fire, but whether it's going to warm your heart or burn down your house, you can never tell. Joan Crawford. Love is something sent from heaven to worry the hell out of you. Dolly Parton. Money can't buy love, but it does improve your bargaining position. Christopher Marlowe. Love is like an hourglass. With the heart filling up as the brain empties. Jules Renard. There is only one happiness in this life, to love and to be loved. George Sand. Love is our true destiny. We do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. Thomas Merton. Love has nothing to do with what you are expecting to get, only with what you are expecting to give, which is everything. Katharine Hepburn. It's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Unknown. We tend to forget that happiness doesn't come as a result of getting something we don't have, but rather recognizing and appreciating what we do have. Spread love to those around you. Remember, not only today, but each day, you can make a difference in someone's life. You don't need an excuse or a special day to show someone that you care. I think this embodies Rotary.
Thank you, Randy. That's very appropriate for today. At this time, I'd like to welcome any visiting Rotarians. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? Brad.
President Jim, fellow Rotarians, it's a pleasure to welcome from Pleasanton North, the Rotary Club of Pleasanton North in the category of electrical engineer. Please welcome Mike Ivy.
Rotarians and guests, I'm pleased to introduce to you from the club in the category of
Electrical contracting.
Bob Tucknut. Hello, Bob.
Any other visiting Rotarians? How about guests of Rotarians?
President Jim, fellow Rotarians, I'd like to reintroduce to all of you Ginger, Faith, Crystal, and Ginger is a former president of our club. She was our president during COVID and is highly responsible for the weekly videos that we watch. That was a tradition she started as a creative way to get people engaged during the pandemic. Another thing we can credit Ginger with and her board that year is that we have meetings that, well, we don't meet as many times a month. Right? We have third Thursday, and we had third Thursday before, but it was an addition to the meeting, and we just went that way. And now the fifth week of the month, we also have fifth Thursday.
It's Fifth Thirsty Thursday.
Okay, so anyway, please welcome back Ginger.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Nice to see everyone again.
Thank you. My guest today is Adi Parnes, stand up Adi. She is with LTD Global. They do HR and accounting for nonprofits, which is very fitting for what we do. I met her at a Dublin Chamber event. Ricky actually introduced me. And fun fact that every time I'm with Adi, she likes to take a selfie. And she actually posts it on the LTD Instagram and then tags the Pleasanton Rotary. So if you'll indulge me for a minute, we're going to take a selfie to pay her back and tag her. So come with me. Sorry. Right over here. We're going to do it over here. We want all the Rotarians smiling because we want to get everybody in here. Yeah, you go ahead and do it. Okay, we're going to, on three, the world's greatest Rotary. 1, 2, 3.
Instagram account. Hold on. Who's in charge of the Instagram account? Mark, put your hand up, Mark. You need to accept it when I write collaborate. You have to collaborate with the pictures because you're not. I'm trying to get more people to know about you guys. I just called you out in front of everybody. And it was nice to see everybody. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Any other? Oh, there's Gary and shoot.
Good afternoon, everyone. My friend here, Pooja Agarwal, she is a longtime Pleasanton resident and a math teacher, and she would like to join our club. So here she is today to check it out.
Welcome.
So Valentine's Day is for sweethearts. So I brought my 43-year-long sweetheart and married for 39 years in September, Phoebe Schweigerly.
Welcome, Phoebe.
President Jim and fellow Rotarians, I would like to reintroduce my wife, the honorary Rotarian, and Paul Harris, thanks to Nancy Pennell, Lisa Brown.
Welcome, Lisa, and happy Valentine's Day.
Good afternoon, everyone. President James and the Pleasanton Rotary Club, the greatest Rotary Club in the world. I'd like to introduce my assistant, John Garcia, and my director of marketing, Tina Ho, and she also created the video we're going to watch today for wheelchairs and our trip from Peru. Welcome, please, John and Tina. Thank you.
Welcome. And I just want to make a clarification real quick. I invited Ginger to speak today, forgetting about the wheelchairs, and I apologize for that. The wheelchairs are just as important, so Ginger's agreed to come at another time. So thank you for that, Ginger. At this time, we have some.
One more.
Oh, Brad.
I have a guest, President Jim. My wife of 64 and a half years, Gary. Sandra, she has a Paul Harris fellowship and Paul Harris pin, and we're here to learn how to build a stronger relationship.
Congratulations on all counts. All right. Any other guests of Rotarians? All right. And we have a Zoomer. Hi, Clark.
Hello, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day, Grandpa.
Thank you.
All righty. At this time, I'm checking to see if we have time for a video. I think we have time for a song before we do the, let's do the song. Sure.
Hello, Rotarians and guests. Today we're going to sing One Heart, One Club. Let's go to it.
One heart, one club, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun. We do wheelchairs and the spirit run. Let's get together, do good, have fun. Rotary gives thanks, and when the work is done, let's get together, do good, have fun. One heart, one club, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun. Peace to serve us, a new day has come. Let's get together, do good, have fun. Mother, daughter, father, son. Let's get together, do good, have fun. One heart, one club, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun. One heart, one club. Let's get together, do good, have fun.
Thank you, Ricky, and thank you, Don. And at this time, I'd like to ask Bill and Dick to come forward and talk to us about. Okay, you'll call them up.
Thank you, President Jim. The main thing we want to do today is show a video of our Peru trip and talk a little bit about wheelchairs. I'm just going to give you some quick numbers. This past 18 months has been really an effective time for the wheelchairs. We've distributed 3 containers. Thank you, President Jim. It's a pleasure to be here to talk. Oh, wait, I already did that. Anyway, just wanted to say we've done 840 chairs already delivered this year. And that's recipients, doesn't count the fact that every chair affects a caregiver as well. So, we're up a lot more than that. We have 2 additional containers. One is going to South Africa. So that's going to be a challenge for us, but that's what we're going to be doing. And the other is going to go to Mexico. So again, 2 in process, and we have a third that we're hopeful to fill before the end of the first half of this year. So we're really excited about that. With all told, we'll have delivered 1,400 wheelchairs this year. So thank you all. Big thank you to the Wheelchair Foundation, without whose partnership we wouldn't be able to do this. So without any further ado, I want to introduce, like he has to be introduced, Bill Wheeler, who's our video guy and been on every distribution that we've done and a lot of distributions that we haven't done. So Bill, you want to come up and take us through Here you are, William.
Thank you, Dick. Happy almost Valentine's Day to everyone. I'm here just to introduce this video that Tina has created for us from a kind of montage of whatever we put together when we were at the trip. We don't have anybody shooting the video or shooting the stuff, so it's just kind of from all our iPhones and such. But it introduces the trip. It was the 3rd trip for me this last year. It was just a fun time. Steve Van Dorn was there. Julie Lewis was there. Lee was there. We also had Dick and Larry. Where are you, Larry? Larry, you're hiding back there under your hat earlier. These trips are incredible trips. If you get the opportunity to go there, it's an interesting way to travel. It's not like we've all traveled different locations and places, but when you're doing the wheelchair pieces, you're hosted by the Rotary clubs of that area. Peru is a particular place we've been back to numerous times with Pleasanton North Rotary and this club. We've done over 8 distributions there, primarily with this guy you'll see in here, which is Luis, and he does a great job of it. And I think Harrington's, we were there with Luis before, you remember them. Just the organization of the whole thing. We also got Ava Carlson from the Wheelchair Foundation, which we've been working with for 25 years, and she came on this trip, and it just has kind of a specialty part to it. We were greeted by many dignitaries. You'll see some of that here. Lots of people show up for these distributions. It's an amazing to watch it come together. That when there's different, and every single one's different. I promise you. All 3 trips last year were completely kind of different setups and everything else, and it was just a wonderful way to kind of greet the people in the countries and get to know them. Let's start the video. Come on. We all compete for the same thing, but together we've delivered over 20,000 wheelchairs. All of those chairs have our rotary signal on the back of them. All over the world. Chair. The person receiving the chair has no choice in that matter. They don't. No one puts them in that position. But the people who take care of them, they make a life change for themselves. Could be strangers, could be neighbors, could be family. But they decide to dedicate their lives to the people in the wheelchairs. Their doctor's appointments, takes up all types of makes their life. Not only are we changing the life of the chair, we're also helping the entire community and everybody who takes care of that person. So it's widespread.
honored to be able to be here today.
Bienvenidos a todos. Estamos muy felices de estar presentes con ustedes hoy.
Right, it's one less chair that we always need another.
Thanks, everybody.
Quiero saludar también al representante.
We trade 2 chairs or 3 chairs for one of these blue chairs every time we go, but we always have a necessary. Lee was fantastic, and we worked together.
My friends call me Mimbo. Mucho gusto, mi amigo. Mucho gusto. I love it. Come on, man.
Figure I can put myself right underneath something.
Get entertained too, get a little flavor of the local. Notes, especially from the kids. The mayors have to step in every once in a while. This is the first day of the rest of your lives, really. You're going to have a life-changing experience by getting the wonderful gift of mobility. So again, you can see the variety of circumstances. So thank you again. This is a celebration. Yep. And as we say in Rotary, do good and have fun. You might want to take that slice of that one home and use that as an advertisement. Some of the terrain and some of the situations folks live in on a regular basis. Yeah. So one of the things that we pride ourselves in doing when we go on these delegation visits is we want to get involved. We want to be at the ground level. We want to help put the folks in the chairs. We want to be able to see where they live. From the Wheelchair Foundation. Just wonderful to see questioning what's going on. Smiles on their faces. Yeah. And Down syndrome, another challenge.
Quiero agradecer a toda la gente que
Yep, some of the hosts.
Pepe and his team.
Pepe y su equipo.
I recognize how challenging it is to do.
So to really get the feeling of what this program is all about, you need to go to these trips. These are not paid for by any of the donations. Yeah, thanks, Bill. Great job. Great job. Tina. Thank you, Tina. We'll have you do some more of these, hopefully. Yes. That's why people were leaving early. The one thing that just didn't show, but we also did a partial distribution in Arequipa, and Larry Annis knows where that is because it's the hometown of his in-laws. We were able to get, I think, 20 chairs delivered in Arequipa for the first time. So they participated, not in a great way, but they participated. They struggled a little bit with the process, but we got the chairs and got folks in the chairs. So that was an added good thing about this particular trip. So once again, please consider going on the trip. The cost is you have to bear the cost. It's not paid for by any donations. Really, the total amount, usually it's airline tickets and hotel rooms. Meals, yes, but a lot of the meals get taken care of by our hosts. So please consider doing that on one of our up and coming trips. Okay. Thank you all. Thanks, Bill. Great job.
All right, everybody. So just a history for the people that we have guests and such. A guy named Bob Athenauer started this program for us 25 years ago. And the first trip I went on was in 2001 to Tulancingo. Larry was there, I think, on that trip, and Ron Hyde group, that whole trip. And what I saw there, and when I saw the first chair, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I knew I was going on a trip, and we were going to Tulancingo. And it was, and the first chair I saw I saw just how, what a difference that it could make in someone's life in just a moment, from this to this, black and white, and just how easy it was to do that. I've dedicated my entire adult life to it. I have a dedication myself to be participating in 1,000 chairs a year since that year. Been all over the world in all kinds of trips, but every single time the making a difference thing is the piece. We do lots of things in Rotary, and we have international Rotary, we have local Rotary, we have all the things that we participate in, but really it's all about making a difference in someone's lives. The things that we do in this club, and it's unique to us, not all the clubs do this, our rotoplasty, okay, that saves, that there's thousands of children have been, from Tom Fox, have been taken care of. The water projects, the sanitation projects, the Heritage Lead Up in Africa, thousands of people are, not just one time, it's for their entire lives, and all the affecting people around. It's a big difference. This little club, this little club in the area, that we can make so much difference in so many people's life. It's just incredible, but there's still a giant need. Ken Berry died a few years ago. Ken Berry was a developer of Blackhawk. He's the one who, this is his whole program from the beginning. He's a billionaire. He decided he wanted to do 1 million chairs before he died. He reached that goal. He reached it through Rotary. We made that happen for him because we gave him the chance to distribute it and how to distribute it through these network of Rotarians. So it's a worldwide piece that truly makes a difference. Today, we would like to, so we're looking for about $7,000 to $8,000 to get a next container paid for. It takes us 3 to 6 months to get these things arranged. The farther ahead that we can fund them and get them taken care of, it's just the easier there is to make a difference in more people's lives. Today, I'd like to also want to thank David Clausen for his donation of $2,500 towards that goal. We appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. Give a round of applause, please. I'm committed to another $600 in chairs. The chairs are $200 a piece. They used to be $150. We get a lot of matching funds from DDF, from Rotary, from the actual foundation of wheelchairs. And it helps double up our money, but the chairs have just gotten expensive as more and more every year, inflation, and everything else. They went from $150 to $200. So each chair you got 1.25. Good job. As we get to the 600, we get to $600. Brad has matched me for 3 chairs. I'm going to do 3 chairs. Is there anybody else who'd like to participate? This is a pledge. You don't have to do it today. Thank you very much. We got 1, 2, 3. Who's calling out names? I need somebody to help me with the. Thank you very much. Thank you. As we're being recorded here. And how many chairs, everybody? 1, 2, 3. Commitment. Good. Don't need, actually, just any commitment is good. We don't need your numbers. And we got Andrea on the back there. I'm having.
President Jim, President Ryan. President Marjorie.
You got Brian Gentry. Roger. Your name, sir? Kevin. Kevin, nice to meet you. Thanks for your donation. Appreciate it. Anybody else that filled, everybody who just pledged, raise your hand one more time, please. Just want to see, this is fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for participating. If you could check with Heidi when you're done, make sure your name gets on the list so you can get recorded. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Dick, great job on running the foundation for us. Thanks for keeping it all together. Appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Dick, Bill, and everyone who participates in the wheelchair endeavor.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That's a great video. Great video. Thank you for the video. All right. Richard Wilkinson. And thank you. We took a little extra time, but we needed to.
Thank you, President Jim. So I've had the pleasure of knowing today's speaker, Felicia Escover, for almost 2 years now. She holds a master's in human resources management and is a certified wellness coach. Over the past 10 years, her career has been in government, where she's worked with the city of San Mateo, the city of Vallejo, and she currently works at the city of Dublin in the Economic Development Department. As an entrepreneur, her passion for wellness led her to create a consulting company called Dig Strategies, where she's called upon to do training and workshops at conferences throughout the Bay Area. Now, I met Felicia when she hired me to do some work for the city of Dublin. And it was a great opportunity for me, so I thought I should take her to lunch to say thank you. And that lunch went like you might expect in a business lunch. Conversation was maybe 80% business, 20% personal. And I'm sure many of you have those kinds of business relationships. You want to be cordial, but you just don't know how far to take it because it's just business, right? Well, an interesting thing happened. Once Felicia and I started working together, we developed a great rapport and we really had no reason to meet anymore. We were handling everything by email, but we kept meeting. Every couple months we'd get together. We might do lunch, we might do coffee. And over time, the conversations drifted more and more towards the personal side. And I gather to say, Felicia, that the last time we met in mid-December, conversation was probably 100% personal. And so how did this happen? How can you get these kind of business connections and get deeper business relationships? So you're going to hear all about that today and much more. So please help me welcome Felicia Escover.
All right, I'm going to wander a bit. Thank you, Richard, for the intro.
I don't want to stand in front of the speaker or you'll get feedback.
Don't,
So, like,
okay.
just about anywhere else but there.
Anywhere else. Okay, let me stand here. Okay, and do you have the clicker? Do we have the clicker? Okay. So thank you, Richard, for the intro, and thank you all for having me. Really excited to join you here today. Thanks for braving the weather and the earthquake and whatever else is going on out there. You didn't feel the earthquake? 3.5 rounding? Anyway, I think Randy covered this topic earlier when he was doing his inspiration earlier, but I'm going to try my best to add a little bit. So I'm really happy to be here right before Valentine's Day. it's the perfect time to talk about relationships. And some of this may be a refresher for you, but I hope it provides you with a new context, a new framework for thinking about relationships. And if you're an expert, I hope you take things away that you might be able to share with other folks in your life. More, okay. Okay, here we go. Perfect. And just a fun fact, so in some Latin American countries, it's actually not Valentine's Day, but it's El Día del Amor y la Amistad. And so the day of love and friendship. And I love that it invites us to think beyond romantic relationships that we often associate with Valentine's Day, but it really gives us a time to celebrate all those special folks in our lives. And so we are going to go ahead and get started. As we go through the slides, you'll notice I put in some family Valentine's Day themed photos just to add a little bit of fun. So keep an eye out for those Easter eggs. So we are going to dive right in, and I like starting with why. So why are we talking about relationships? And so I love this quote by Esther Perel. The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your relationships. So really, relationships are the thing that impacts all of the things when you really sit down to think about it. And so just going to go over a couple of things here and kind of keep this moving, but supportive relationships add a lot of value and meaning and richness to our lives. On the other hand, when we have relationships that might be a little fractured, that might be complicated, that can lead to stress, anxiety, resentment, and it can really drain your energy. You're trying to navigate these really challenging relationships in your life. So these positive relationships impact the quality of our life, and having these positive relationships makes us more resilient overall. It's also interesting that a lot of the choices we make come from our relationships, right? So you've probably heard the saying, you don't leave a job, you leave a supervisor, right? Or on the other hand, there's studies that show that you are more likely to stay at a job or stay within an association if you have someone that you feel is a friend. It makes it easier to kind of handle the day-to-day things or the challenging times. And so relationships really impact so many assets of our life, our quality of life, and also some of the choices we end up making. And this was just meant to say, we talked about why we're presenting today on relationships, and this is why me. And I think Richard did a good job of introducing me, and I'm not going to go into all of this, but here I just wanted to illustrate that relationships and connections is something that's really personal to me. It's something I care deeply about, and I've dedicated my academic and professional life to this idea of relationships and connections and the digging deeper deck, which we'll see in a little bit. Okay, and so this is our agenda for today. So we're going to go over the key element of relationships, and then we're going to give you just a couple tips for building depth in relationships. We have a quick activity, and then if we have time, we'll do some advanced tips. Okay. So let's get started. So the key element of relationships. So relationships really come down to touch points. And we're going to talk about 3 elements of touch points. The first is quantity. So the frequency and the amount of touch points we're having with someone. The second is the quality. And quality, not in the sense of good or bad, but the level of presence and engagement that are happening during these touch points. And then the third is the depth of these touch points. And that really speaks to the level of trust and understanding that takes place in these interactions. So we're going to talk briefly about each of these. But first, I want to say that there's no good or bad. More doesn't necessarily mean better. Each relationship in your life, if you think about it, has a different mix of these. You might have, an old friend who might live far away, or you don't have a chance to check in with them as much. So you might not have a lot of quantity, a lot of touch points with them right now, but you might have a lot of depth built with them, right? Or if you think about, romantic partners, you probably have a lot of each of these ingredients. Or maybe coworkers or the folks here, you might have a lot of quantity from your regular visits, but you might also have that presence and engagement, which is done through some of the shared activities that you all do together. And so quantity. So this is really the frequency of our interactions. And what's really interesting is that the more we're around someone, the more familiar they become. And so if you think about if you go to a coffee shop and you see the same employees there, you see the same customers there around the same time you are, they start to become more familiar. You may never talk to them, but you feel this sense of knowing them. And so if you run into them in a different setting, you might think, you might say something to them, say, oh, hey, do you go to that coffee shop? I recognize you. So you start to build that familiarity. This really speaks to just any kind of touch points you have with someone. So it doesn't necessarily need to be direct conversations or communication. It could be a text, it could be an email. Those are all touch points. They can also be one-sided. So if you think about social media, so you might see someone posting something, it comes across your feed, and you start to feel some type of connection with them over time as you start to see their post, as they engage with your post. So these touch points don't necessarily need to be a physical interaction. It could be over time or over space in different settings. The next is quality of interaction. So as I mentioned, this is really focused on presence and engagement. And so this is what you're kind of doing together. So is it a shared activity? Is it, you're just waving to your neighbor? Is it sitting down and having a conversation? So there's no good or bad when it comes to this, but the more quality interactions we have, the deeper our connections tend to become. And finally is depth. So this is all about the trust and understanding that's in our relationships. And as Richard mentioned in his intro, this really builds over time. It's the small, consistent touch points that help build this trust and understanding. And this is usually the hardest part of relationships. Oftentimes, we're so used to having, more surface level conversations because it's the path of least resistance. We tend to do what is familiar and what we know. And so we'll ask someone, oh, hey, how are you doing? Good. Okay. How are you? Good. And then you kind of move on. And it's, easy to talk about the weather. It's easy to talk about traffic. It's easy to talk about your weekend plans. It takes a little bit more energy and thought and intention to go beyond that and ask other questions and kind of know what's going on with someone deep down. And we're going to keep moving. So does that make sense so far? Are we good? Okay. A little bit of a different way to think about relationships. Okay, so we're going to focus on depth since that one is really the trickiest of the three. It's easier to control for the quantity and the quality of our interactions, but how do we do the depth part? And we're going to cover three elements of this concept. And these are really simple, but they're really important. They're fundamental to our relationships. And you'll notice if any one of these things is missing, then it's really hard to have a deep, authentic connection with someone. And so here are the three tips. It's the acronym DIG. So hopefully that sticks. So dig, so dive into real conversations. So asking questions, being open, listening to learn, and really being present with that person during the conversation, asking a question and really wanting a response. The second, investing in trust by showing up as your authentic self. It's easier for someone to be authentic with you when you're authentic with them. It is really difficult to show up and be who you are. Some folks are more comfortable with that, while others aren't. But it's really important that you are able to show up as yourself, because it's hard to connect with someone if you don't really know who they are or if they don't know who you are. And so this is kind of one of those fundamental aspects of developing deeper connections with folks. And then finally, going towards and not away from discomfort. And so this is having those awkward conversations. And this might seem a little counterintuitive, but this is really important because when we don't address questionable comments, issues, what did they mean by that? Then it starts to create distance and fracture our relationships, and it leads to disconnection. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we're going to keep moving. So diving into real conversations with curiosity. So this is, how can I, what questions can I ask to get to know this person? It's also about figuring out the right combination of space. So the space that you want to give and the space you want to take. So if you're someone who, can dominate a conversation, can keep the conversation going, how can you give space to someone else to be able to share with you? It's also, if you're more quiet, if you're more reserved, if you like to listen, it's like, how can you take space and be able to share a little bit about yourself with that individual? Because it really takes two sharing in order to create that depth, that connection. And so it's about showing up and being really curious and really listening and being open and present in that moment with them. Next, so investing in trust by showing up as your authentic self. And so it means being real, it's being open, it's being unapologetically you. There was this time where I was presenting to this group of really important officials. This was maybe 8 years ago and it still haunts me. And I was like, okay, I'm young, I'm female, I want them to take me seriously. I need to go in there, I need to have my big words, I need to come off a certain way. And I went in and I literally couldn't say one word, not a word, no words. And what happened is my coworker had to step in and present for me. I did the presentation, I put it all together, but they were the one to present for me. And it's because I froze up because I'm like, how do I be this person I think I need to be? And I think oftentimes we do think we have to, act a certain way, or, we have to, act or come across in a certain light. And that's not really true. And I think you all looking around the room, when someone is being real with you, when it's an act, and it's really easy to tell. You feel like something's not quite right. This is also the case for if someone's really inconsistent, like, okay, they're kind of up and kind of down all around, and you don't really know what to expect. And so what's best is just to show up as yourself and then invites that other person to do that as well. And then finally going towards and not away from discomfort. So it's really about approaching sensitive and difficult conversations with curiosity and care. And so instead of assuming, it's really inviting them into a conversation. We don't call people out, we call them into a conversation, to a dialogue with us. This is like a whole other separate training, but really it's important to be able to have these conversations and to recognize when something doesn't feel right, because you want to address it when it is a content issue, when it's like, oh, okay, Richard did this thing and I don't know what he meant by that, but right. And so in that moment, I can choose, I can let it go or I can address it. But if something keeps happening and now it's a pattern issue, and that's a little bit more tricky to navigate. And if I keep, letting something fester, there's content issues, there's pattern issues, then it becomes a relationship issue. And those are really difficult to repair. So you want to address things while they're content issues, while they're one-off, when they're small, when it's not as awkward as like, hey, I think we need to figure out how to fix our relationship, right? As opposed to like, I need you to meet this deadline or whatever it is. And in this case, there's kind of two ways you can approach it. And I'll just give you a couple of quick stories to illustrate it. So there was someone a couple of months ago who, I was talking to you about a project, and I was like, okay, we really need to consider X, Y, Z as we're moving forward with this really big project. And she's like, wow, I guess you know what you're talking about. I'm glad you're on the team. And I'm like, what does that mean? Does she? Because in my head, she said that, like, wow, you know what you're talking about. So in my head, I heard, I'm surprised you're competent, right? And no, that's what I heard. We make up stories because it's a shortcut. And that's what I heard. And so, in so many words, I addressed it because I was like, I don't know what she meant by that, but I wanted to give her the opportunity to share. She's like, oh no, I meant you're really great and I'm glad you're on the team. Right. And so when we say what we mean, it's very different. And you often get better results. And that person has the opportunity to correct the misunderstanding or address it in that moment. And it also holds up a mirror. So they know, wow, I made that comment and I didn't realize I was, hurting someone. Okay, Richard's giving me the cue. And one more quick example of what happens when you don't address it. So this was about 10 years ago. I was presenting and the trainer, I had to do this presentation. And after I was done, the trainer in front of the whole group said, you're almost charismatic. know what that means. If you know what it means, flag me down afterwards to explain it to me. I didn't know what it meant. And I was like mortified. And so I sat down in my seat and I just cried for the rest of the training, just silently. And I just left. And that was it. I had the chance to speak with this person last summer. And she said, you know, I've trained thousands of people and I remember you because I was so hard on you. And she's like, but I was hard on you because I saw a lot of potential in you and I wanted you to see it too. And I'm like, that's not what I heard. That's not what I heard, right? So when we say what we mean, it often just helps clear things up. So hopefully, you know, as you kind of go about your days, you kind of think about that. You know, am I saying what I'm trying to say and what I mean? We can, okay, we can improvise. We can, yes. All right. So, I'm at time. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to explain this. So we talked about how depth is really challenging and having those conversations is kind of an uphill battle, right? And so what we have are these cards that Richard purchased for the group. And within each of them, there are two types of questions. There's a digging around question, and then there's a digging deeper question. The digging deeper questions, there's two questions on them. The top's a more surface level question, and then the bottom requires you to share a little bit more. So I created this card deck because I was tired of icebreakers that weren't really effective. Like knowing someone's favorite color, knowing their favorite pizza topping doesn't tell me much unless you say pineapple, then I know a lot about you from that. But this was something I created so that everyone had a chance to participate, knowing that, some people are private, some people are willing to share a little bit more. And so there are these cards that will be available to you at your different meetings. And I invite you to use them and just, look at the questions and ask someone and listen and go back and forth. And so I hope you have an opportunity to use them. And to wrap things up, we did not cover the advanced tips because I wanted to ask you what your tips were. But I'll just end. More pineapples, stronger relationships. And so what I just want to leave you with is a challenge. So we talked about touch points at the beginning, and I encourage you all as your Valentine's Day homework to go and have a meaningful touch point. Give someone a compliment that you've been meaning to, thank someone, reach out to someone who you've been meaning to talk to for a little bit. If you do that, I won't send Richard and Mark after you. So thank you for your time. I do have a connection worksheet available if you guys want to, have a recap of this and have some time to write down and really think about some of these concepts. But I have loved being able to join you. You guys are doing amazing work. And I think by you being in this group with one another, it's creating a lot of meaningful connections and a lot of impact within the community. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. So unfortunately, we ran out of time today. We were going to do a breakout session, and I will torture all of you with this next time. But Felicia made these great cards, so maybe we can read one question just to kind of get an example. So you want to read? We're going to have Ricky answer this question.
All right. So this is a sample of a digging deeper question. So, all right. So do you tend to believe that everything happens for a reason, or is life just a series of coincidences? And so that's your surface level question. And you could say, I think everything happens for a reason. And you can be done. Or you can say that and explain. And so it's kind of easy for everyone to participate. And then the question underneath, if you were brave, you wanted to dig deeper, can you think of one event that if it hadn't happened would have changed everything?
Would you like a microphone?
I think I'll go with Randy Brown inviting me to join this club, because it's really been life-changing for me to be in this club and to be so involved and do all the things. Yes, in a very positive way. I got to know all of you or have gotten to know all of you. Those few of you I don't know that well yet, but most of you I do. And it has been life-changing for me to be in Rotary and in this club.
Okay, so I know we're out of time, but next time we meet will be in March, right? Or no, 27th, right? Oh, February 27th. I will put these on the tables. What I encourage all of you to do, and I'll be here to coach you. We're going to get past the questions about how's the weather. We're going to dig deeper. So thank you, Felicia.
Felicia, don't sit down because we're going to do our opportunity drawing and you are the person who draws the tickets.
Right.
And here comes David with our tickets.
We have $203. So anybody who didn't buy 5 tickets, sorry. Just draw 1, 2, 2, right? 2. Okay, read the first one.
Okay. 084956.
I have 50 tickets.
Roger.
I don't think there's a rule, is it? There's only one red one. Okay, the second one? He's a loser.
Okay. 084951.
Seems like a conspiracy.
Sharing is caring.
Red is better. There it is.
Everybody buy a ticket next time. Buy a ticket. Thank you, Felicia. And thank you, everybody. At this time, I want to wish everybody a very happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody, for your donation.